quick ancient human deep dive discussing our species, sapiens, and our closest cousins, the Neanderthals. Technically, our closest cousins might be the Denisovans, but regardless, we're going to talk about one area of this field that's really changed a lot over the last 4 years or so. It's a great example of how our understandings can change over time, and that is related to Neanderthal DNA in African human populations. This press release from Princeton was based off of this paper that they published in 2020. In that paper, they were analyzing genomes, looking at Neanderthal ancestry, and they were surprised to see that every single population they looked at within Africa, they all had some Neanderthal DNA. That wasn't necessarily expected because, like this map shows, the Neanderthals were up here. Our species was down here. There is no evidence of the Neanderthals coming down into here, so what they explained it as was that there must have been some populations of sapiens that moved back into Africa, brought that admixture, that DNA from the old hybridization back with them, and then it spread. The press release concluded with this line: "This demonstrates the remnants of Neanderthal genomes survive in every modern human population studied to date." Now this Princeton press release is from 2024. It's describing a different paper, and it shows you how much we have learned in those 4 years. Back in 2020, the general understanding was that our species left Africa sometime over 50,000 years ago, and then they met up with the Neanderthals and hybridized, and that's why all of the populations in Europe and East Asia, all of those populations still have that Neanderthal ancestry. However, what this new paper in 2024 was describing, and this wasn't first found in 2024, I've been talking about this quite a bit over the last few years, but this is something that's been building upon, is that our species, sapiens, when some of our population left Africa over 50,000 years ago, that wasn't the first time it happened. It's just that the evidence suggests that's the only time where a population of sapiens left and then persisted into the modern day. The genetic evidence actually suggested some earlier meetings and earlier hybridization between our species and the Neanderthals closer to 120,000 years ago and then over 200,000 years ago. And they realized that what they had previously identified as Neanderthal DNA in some of those African populations, it was actually really ancient DNA from sapiens that had interbred with those Neanderthals over 100,000 or 200,000 years ago, and then the Neanderthals actually retained some sapiens DNA. So when they were looking at those Neanderthals and assuming this was like a full slate of Neanderthal DNA, there was actually some sapiens DNA in there, and that's what they were seeing in those African populations. So as of today, the general understanding is that there are still some populations that do not have Neanderthal admixture.